What's up, everybody? This is Around the Board. Here we go, about to talk everything VGK with Ken from SinBin Vegas. But first, we have your guys' game recaps for the past week, suspensions that was handed out to one particular player, and also Brad Marchand just licking people's faces. So that's just pretty gross. So hey, let's get into it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Around the board.
What's up, everybody? This is Around the Board. Back at it again, episode 33. Another week gone by in the NHL. Joining me this time is my good friend, Dylan Duncan. No Rob today, though. So, Dylan, say hello.
Hi.
Hey. All right, so we're going to get right into the game recaps here. Bunch of exciting series, man. I know Rob and I mentioned it last week on the last episode, but a lot of exciting series and still happening.
Yep.
We'll just get started with the Sharks Knights series here. San Jose and Vegas. Currently, as of right now, when we are recording Saturday, May 5th, at 8:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Golden Knights currently have a 3-2 series lead on the San Jose Sharks. And a little hint, stay tuned towards the end of the episode with our guest, Ken from SinBin Vegas, talks everything about the Vegas Golden Knights. So hear his input on how they're doing this year, this playoff season, and how they managed to lose their first game, really, and what the feelings were like for them because they finally came back down to earth. So anyways.
What an Easter egg.
Exactly. Vegas.
That'll make them stick around.
Oh, yeah. Vegas has a 3-2 series lead. What's your take on that series so far, Dunk?
It's been good. I watched a few of the games, and I've been working during a lot of them, but it's a good series. I think they're evenly matched. I think San Jose sometimes is a little bit quicker up and down the ice than Vegas was expecting, and that hurts them a little bit, hurts Vegas a little bit. But Vegas seems to somehow keep coming away with close games, except for that one that was 4-0. But they seem to be pulling through, which is nice, I guess. Good for them.
And believe it or not, that 4-0 game that the Sharks won was the one game I actually watched fully through, front to back, beginning to end.
Yeah, wasn't that it was like 4-0 within the first period, wasn't it? I think it was over from the start. I think
pretty much the Sharks totally ran away with that one, and Vegas was not on their game. But what are you gonna do? That's the playoff games here, and that's the way the playoffs go.
Seeing those fans deal with their first ever playoff loss was quite interesting. Everyone's
on social media,
and hitting the ejector seat and freaking out like they've never lost a game before.
Yep, on social media, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun. So welcome back to Earth, Vegas Golden Knights fans.
That's the playoffs for you. You're gonna lose some games.
That's what it feels like when you lose a playoff game, because we've all been there.
At least you're in the playoffs.
Exactly. Unlike any of our teams currently. Anyways, staying out there on the Western Conference. I was going to say West Coast, but
you tried, but neither of these teams are on the West Coast.
None of these teams are on the West Coast, but let's keep it in the Western Conference.
That's the NHL's fault, though. Not your fault.
I know.
Nashville's in the East.
We have your boyfriend's team, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Nashville Predators. That series, as of right now, is tied 2-2. They actually play tonight, this evening. They play game number 5 at 9:30. So,
can we talk about this though? How I don't even care about the other nights of hockey. That this has been, it's been Nashville and Winnipeg, and then Pittsburgh and Washington on the same night for the past week.
Yeah.
Talk about getting to watch the two best series of the playoffs are on the. Yeah, it's a fun night to watch hockey.
Yeah. You see the way they did that, the way the NHL scheduled that one. But let me tell you, I have some interesting takes on this series.
Let's hear it.
So I'm not sure if you saw the one game, Dustin Byfuglien manhandling Nashville Predator player.
Dustin Byfuglien is a man.
Dude's a tank. He's a beast. Yeah. He's a beast. Like, he just grabbed one Winnipeg. I mean, excuse me, he grabbed one Nashville guy on the back of the jersey, grabbed the other one by like the face, and like
the other guy by the face was by the ear, and it was Roman Josi, who was one of the best defenseman in the league, like no slouch.
No, and just, dude, Bufflin's out there just
Looking like
destroying
Hercules.
people, dude, and he's shooting the puck a lot more. He was I think him and your boy Patrick Laine have been the difference makers, and obviously Hellebuck is well playing.
Blake Wheeler's been killing it too.
Yeah, Wheeler's been good as well, and dude, just man, that is a fun series to watch.
No, I think Dustin Byfuglien seems to. I mean, this is probably the first time we've seen him in the playoffs in a little while because he's been on Winnipeg and they haven't been very good. But the first time we ever heard about Dustin Byfuglien was when he was in Chicago in the playoffs. So, like, I think he's just a better player in the playoffs, and he's leading the charge for his team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's roughing guys up. He's taking care of business. He's being the grandmother of the team and pulling guys around by their ears. You know, like he's Laine's not producing as much as you want him to, but he doesn't have to if everyone else is.
Right. Right, exactly. But so actually, wait, we have not done this yet. Does going real quick, rewind here, going back to the Sharks and the Golden Knights, that series right now, VGK, like we said, leading 3-2. Who do you think is going to win that series?
I think Vegas is going to win it.
Okay,
I think Vegas is just a better team.
All right, that's fine. So just get that out of the way. Moving forward again, back here to what we were just talking about, the Winnipeg Jets and the Nashville Predators. Tied 2-2. I'm assuming you're going to go with Winnipeg.
I like both of these teams though. Like I've been on the Nashville kind of side of things for a while too, but I think Winnipeg is better. They have a lot of unsung heroes, if you will, on their team, and I think I don't know. Something about Winnipeg strikes a chord with me, and I think that they're gonna bring it.
Sure. So you think that's gonna, like, I think
it'll go 7.
You think so? Like,
yeah.
I feel like whoever wins tonight is gonna take it. Whoever wins that third game tonight they're gonna ride that momentum train and just take it.
Both of those places aren't easy to play in. So
That's true too.
But
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it'll go 7. I'm hoping it'll go 7 just because it's probably the best series of the playoffs.
It is.
I'm hoping this goes 7. I'm hoping like the Capitals Pittsburgh series goes 7.
It is.
If they could play more than 7 games, I'd be okay with it.
Right. So moving on, like you just mentioned, the Caps Pittsburgh series here currently is underway with about 5.5 minutes left to play into second right now as we speak. Pittsburgh has a 3-2 lead over the Capitals. What's your take on that? Like you said, I guess second best series there is.
I'm always torn on this series whenever they play, though, because I want both of those teams to do well. Like, I want Pittsburgh to three-peat. I think that would be awesome. Or have the chance at winning a third Stanley Cup in a row. That would be great. But I think Ovechkin and the Capitals, I'm not going to say they deserve it because I don't think anyone deserves to win anything. You need to earn it in the NHL. But I don't know. I'd like to see Washington pull it out. I want to say it's like a Crosby versus Ovechkin. It's like I'm not going to say David versus Goliath. It's like a Goliath versus Goliath kind of battle. You know, the two best players in the league playing against each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're talking about earning it. Dude, I think Crosby has earned it. Like, or not Crosby. What the hell am I saying? I think Ovechkin has earned it. Like, the dude is a beast out there during the regular season. He's a beast out there during the playoffs. He brings his A game every night. You know, you really never hear of people saying Ovechkin underperforming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
you never hear about it underperforming. You never hear about off ice issues. You never hear about him getting into contractual disputes. You never hear about him, locker room talk and stuff.
Right. And I mean, out of all the other games going on right now in the playoffs, if there's one player that really deserves it, I think it's Alexander Ovechkin that deserves the Stanley Cup.
I mean, yeah, maybe he does deserve it because he's gotten, almost every other accolade. He's busted his ass his entire career and whatever, but I don't for one second think any player deserves to win the Stanley Cup. You have to earn it. And he hasn't gotten his team over the hump, and maybe this is the year, but
I know it's
like
Rob and I talked about last week on the podcast I'm sure Ovechkin saw it coming again and was like, oh, here we go again, playing Crosby and the Penguins, because every time the Washington Capitals have been eliminated the past 4 or 5 years, it's been to the hands of Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah,
So
if any year was the year to do it, it would be this year matched up against the Penguins.
mm-hmm.
You know, it would be this would be the perfect storm scenario.
Totally.
And we were talking about with Ken earlier about the perfect story with Vegas and whatever. I talk about a perfect story with Ovechkin and the Caps winning the Stanley Cup.
Sure.
You know, finally beating Pittsburgh, finally conquering that, and then, you know, who knows if they move on and they have to play Boston or Tampa. I don't even know if they can beat Boston or Tampa.
That's true too.
That's, you know, it's the mountains only getting higher, unfortunately. So
Right.
and then they're going to have to probably play Winnipeg, hopefully. But
yeah, still a mountain to climb to get to that trophy there. So.
yeah, they're barely at the base of the mountain.
So
playoffs haven't even started yet.
Exactly. So moving on to the next game, you have the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning. You know what's so funny about this series to me is Boston came out swinging. You know, Boston really came out hot, and I really thought Boston was going to take this series from them, even though I do want Tampa Bay to win. You know, Boston ended up winning the first game of the series 6-2. And we were like, holy cow, like Boston
that shut everyone up real quick.
Right, exactly. But now, moving forward, Tampa's got the last 3 wins in the bag, and they're currently leading the series 3-1. That's a whole different turnaround there. So
this is the series I've been following the least for some reason. I don't know why. But I mean, I think everyone's probably been following it the least besides Tampa and Boston fans, just because like everyone's following the Vegas series because it's Vegas. And
right.
Everyone's following the Pittsburgh series because it's Pittsburgh versus Washington, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one's kind of getting swept to the side, but this is a good series. And then also too, last night, like Stamkos and Kucherov, I think scored their first goal or points of the playoffs. Like, then we're a month into it.
Right.
Like that's just what Boston needs is those two guys who are, you know, incredible together and individually to get
Starting
it rolling. So
yep.
Yeah. So I would think that if Kucherov and Stamkos are just now turning it on, I think Boston's done now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the Tampa's made it this far without their 2 best players, 2 of probably the best goal scorers we've seen in the past 20 years in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Boston's going to be done, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a big hit to Boston has been the injury to their defenseman, Torrey Krug. That guy was fourth on Boston in points. I'm sorry, with 12 points, and that was with 3 goals and 9 assists, 7 of them coming on the power play. That's a huge loss to Boston's team, their back end, and the power play as well.
I think last night, I think the first goal of the game was, I don't know if you saw it at all, but Braden Point walked in and like deked between his legs past Chara and past where the person was.
Chara, the dude with
he made Chara look like a street cone. Not saying that would have changed if Torrey Krug was in the lineup, but like now they're exploiting him not being in the lineup, and Braden Point goes and scores on Tuukka Rask, which also I think Tuukka Rask is kind of coming undone now too. If you saw the thing with his, he had that like skate blade malfunction or whatever a couple of games ago.
That really pissed him off.
And he got deked out of his mind on that goal last night. Like, I think he's kind of starting to come off the rails, and he's kind of been their rock for the whole season. So
right. Yeah, that's I did see the whole skate blade thing, and I saw that move that Point had last night. And like you said, you know, past Zdeno Chara, who has like a freaking
who's no slouch.
I don't know what his wingspan is, but damn. I mean,
I know his stick is like 7 feet tall.
Exactly, so. And the dude makes the deke around him. That's that was impressive. But
which if you're a tiny, fast little guy like Braden Point is, it's not hard to get around Chara with your speed. But it was Chara, and it was a 1-on-2, and he made it past both of them. Like, so that was a sick goal. We'll talk about that later. But I don't know. So, I think if Tampa keeps turning it on, especially with Kucherov and Stamkos, Tampa's going to move on. Boston's done, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you have their next game Sunday, May 6th. It is game number 5. Tampa, like we said, leading 3-1. It's an afternoon game, too. You know what? Maybe I'll even watch that. Who knows? But
is that in Tampa?
Yeah, it is in Tampa.
Oh, yeah, so, Boston's done. Boston's done.
I think Boston's going to their ride's going to come to an end here.
Yeah.
But I didn't ask you, Pittsburgh, Washington, who do you think's going to take it? I know there's a who you want to take it. Like me, I want Washington to take it. but I have a slight feeling Pittsburgh's still going to pull it out of the rear end. You know?
Yeah, it's want versus whatever. But
What's going to happen? Probably.
I don't know. I think I kind of answered it by saying that I would be fine with either of them, but it would be nice to see Washington. I can't pick. I want Pittsburgh to do it because Pittsburgh is a well-oiled machine, and they've got every single piece in their lineup to win again, and it would be awesome. And like the three-peat, which doesn't happen ever in sports, and it would be a cool story. But also, I don't care who wins. I'm fine with either of those teams winning. Like, I don't have a horse in this race. Like, it doesn't. Which, shout out Kentucky Derby.
I was about to say winning 3 in a row. That's like the Triple Crown, which they got in the Kentucky Derby, which is happening right now too. So it's
it's over.
Anyways,
it was over like an hour ago.
Yeah, it was over. It already happened.
Who's going to win? I'm going to say Pittsburgh's probably going to win this series. I think.
Okay.
Just experience wise, and I think I don't know. Experience wise, I think they've been here before. So
they have. And then you have Boston and Tampa. Obviously, Tampa is going to take that one, we think, tomorrow's game and Game 5 and the Bruins roller coaster ride there.
Hopefully get that piece of shit Brad Marchand off the ice.
Yeah, so let's just talk about this guy. Let's just talk about this guy real quick. Can
we just make this short?
This dude going around licking people's faces. Licking.
I feel like we've been talking about this on the podcast for a month now.
Right, but he did it once, and it was like, okay, that was funny, But now he did it again to Ryan Callahan, and like you saw his tongue in slow motion make contact with Ryan Callahan's lip, bro. Like, and dude, like I threw up in my mouth, and I was sitting on the couch watching it, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like that, like yelling, and my wife started freaking out, like, whoa, what's going on? And I was like, this dude's licking people's faces. He's just making out with them. He's like, that's not what you do when you're a hockey player. Like, I understand you're trying to get under the opponent's skin, but do it in a different way. Do it in a Sean Avery way. Do it in a Scott Stevens kind of a way. Don't do it as like licking, like, dude, what the fuck?
I don't know. Like,
I have so many wrong issues with this situation that he's doing.
I'm fine with getting under players' skin and stuff, but
exactly.
I mean, it goes back to, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but like the best way to get under another player or another team's skin is to beat them and win. Right. Like, I don't know. You look at some of the, you never saw Wayne Gretzky licking people's faces. Not that they were the same player, but like you see Sidney Crosby do kind of like radish kind of stuff, but like he's slashing people or tripping people. He's like doing hockey plays. He's not going around licking players' faces. Or you see like Drew Doughty talking shit from the bench. Like he's not doing something that's out of this world. Like it's not even funny. Like it's
right. But like that's the thing. Like, is Brad Marchand so terrible at chirping and talking shit to people that like he's like, okay, well, my talking isn't going to get people aggravated. I'm just going to start licking their face. But he must not be good at it because it must not be effective. So he goes to this other technique, and he decides to lick people's faces. Like the dude is good. The dude's got to get a penalty soon. They got to give him like, I don't even know what it would be under. But
it's also too like last night. Like there's no secret that Ryan Callahan's not a slouch. Like Ryan Callahan's one of the toughest players in the league.
Sure.
Like and could probably kick Brad Marchand's ass in a second, but you never see Brad Marchand drop the gloves and fight someone.
No. Like,
it must be nice having Zdeno Chara on your bench to come over and protect you. Right. Like, Brad Marchand's like 5 feet tall. You see, Bigfoot coming off the bench to come protect you. Like, it must be nice, like, I don't know. So,
dude, there's just,
if he licked or kissed someone and then dropped the gloves and fought and defended himself, I'd be more okay with it. But the fact that he does it and then skates away and like, even Sidney Crosby drops the gloves from time to time, and he's one of the whiniest players in the league. Like,
dude, it's just
the fact that Sean Avery's calling him out, saying that it's not okay, and Sean Avery was known as being a scumbag. Like, I don't know.
Oh man, there's just so many things wrong with that whole situation and what Brad Marchand's doing over there in Boston. I just really hope Tampa beats them so we don't have to see that guy anymore. Like,
he's such a good player though too.
Like that's the thing.
Skill wise,
right? He can score. He can do all that, but he goes around licking people's faces, dude. I'm just at a loss for words for that.
I don't know. Move on. Let's get past this.
Anyways, let's talk about Tom Wilson. let's talk about Tom Wilson from the Washington Capitals. So,
The goon.
yeah, Rob and I talked about it last week. Questionable hits. Some clean, we thought, other dirty, we thought, and Tom Wilson finally got his suspension handed to him. He was suspended 3 games by the NHL Department of Player Safety for an illegal check to the head on Pittsburgh Penguins forward Zach Aston Reese. Did you see that hit?
I did.
What's your take on that one?
I don't know, but I mean that hit in particular. Okay, it was a little dirty. It was on the head, but it's so hard to hitting is so hard nowadays because it's just the game's so much faster and he's going to hit people. I mean, hitters are going to hit. That's what they do.
Right. The dude is super tall. Like he's like a tall dude. He's not no Brad Marchand and short.
Sometimes hits are going to have the intention to be clean and they end up being dirty. Like, you're going to ride up some guy's shoulder and hit him in the head, or you're going to slew foot him or go knee on accident, right. Or there's going to be times where you're, trying to make a clean hit and it's clean. It can go both ways because I think hitting not only goes, it's the responsibility of the guy that's hitting, it also the responsibility of the guy that's being hit. They teach you how to be hit when you're learning how to play hockey,
Right.
Like I was taught, when I was younger, like I was playing ice hockey a little bit and like they teach you how to fall down and how to take a hit, how to brace yourself against the boards and stuff. And like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's I get what you're saying. It is a completely different game now, and it's faster, and trying to line somebody up, and then it was just a bad situation, and Tom Wilson may slow down, and you know what?
He's not going to slow down.
But Pittsburgh Penguins fans might not even have to see him anymore if that suspension lasts, right?
Yeah, true. He might be done in the playoffs. That'd be interesting.
Exactly. And I mean, as of what is it? That series is tied to right. Yeah, you know what?
They're playing right now. So
he will be done for the rest of the playoffs. That would be 3 games, wouldn't it?
If they get eliminated, yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I don't think he's going to be. I don't want him to be done.
Right. Slow down.
Like that,
sure.
Though. That's how he plays.
Right.
Like,
that's his game.
Just like as much as we hate Brad Marchand, I don't want Brad Marchand to not play his game. That's his game, is being a rat.
We just want him to stop licking people.
Yeah, I just want him to stop doing stupid stuff like licking people or blowing kisses or smelling people or whatever. Like the second you put reins on the player, like another Kentucky Derby reference. Look at that. I don't know. I don't want them to slow down. No. It's what makes the game fun is that's what gives us shit to talk about is issues like this. If everyone played perfectly and there were no penalties and no crazy goals and no whatever, like we don't want to watch this sport.
Right. Exactly. So anyways, what do you say? Let's get on with our interview here. That's pretty much sums up everything around the NHL and the playoffs so far for this past week.
Yep.
Let's get into our interview with Ken from SinBin Vegas. All right, guys, and we're back. Joined here, our special guest, Ken from SinBin Vegas. Ken, say hello.
What's up?
Not much, man. So we're just gonna jump right into it, I guess. Here, how about those Golden Knights? They first eliminated the Kings, and now they're moving on to the Sharks, and that seems to be a real tight series. What's your take on that series so far?
I think they're pretty good, no? I think we're getting to the point where we're going to have to admit that they're good, and, like, everybody has to do it. It's a little bit of a scary thought now. Like, I don't think anybody can say they're not good anymore. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, it took them a whole season.
Oh, world. My take on the series is that they kind of got burned a little bit in game 2, and, it's their fault for putting themselves in that position. But when you don't play your best game, still find a way to score a game-winning goal in overtime and then have it taken off the board I still don't understand exactly why it was taken off the board. I don't think I understand goalie interference, nor do I think that the
Anybody
five guys
does.
Deciding goalie interference understand goalie
Right.
interference. So I think that they're in control of the series. They've been in control of the series throughout the entire series, and I thought it was going to be Golden Knights in 5. I think that would have been the case had game 2 gone their way. It ends up not going their way. I think they still win the series. I don't know if they're going to win game 6 or not, but I don't see them losing both of the next 2.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's happening. Game 6 is happening tomorrow. We're recording this on Saturday, so that's happening tomorrow, Sunday, May 6th. So when people hear this series may actually already be over if the Golden Knights can pull that one out there. So totally good luck to them. But anyway, so a lot of people saying, the Golden Knights finally came back down to earth after losing their first ever playoff loss in franchise history. What was the feeling there for fans over there in Vegas and of the Vegas Golden Knights?
It was different. There's been two losses, and they were very different because the first one was like, oh, that's what it takes for this team to lose in a playoff game. It takes a goal in which the Golden Knights actually win the game, and they have to take it off, and then it takes back-to-back penalties and overtime too. That's what it takes. We're in good shape. That was the thought then. Game 4 rolls around, and they get their butts kicked 4-0 up in San Jose after not playing a great game in Game 3. And that's where I think a little bit of your classic playoff panic fits in. It's like, oh boy, one more like that, and this thing's over. This whole fairy tale comes to a quick close, So it was a little different. But then for them to come out and get up 4-0, and some people are concerned about the slow start, slow finish in Game 5. I'm not particularly concerned about it. People are pretty much back on the bandwagon and waiting for the other series to try and figure out who it would be if the Golden Knights do get one of these next two games. So it's a pretty confident fan base still.
Sure. So speaking of that, say the Golden Knights do pull it out and they move on, and they'd have to play either the Nashville Predators, or the Winnipeg Jets. Is there any concern there for Vegas? I'm not sure what their season record was like off the top of my head against the Predators or the Jets, but is there any concern there?
2-1 against the Predators, 1-2 against the Jets. They played rather well against both of them. They probably should have been 3-0 against the Predators. Probably should have deserved a 2-1, maybe just a 1-1. Max Legacy played in one of the Jets games, and he gave up like 6 goals. And well, he's Max Legacy, and he's not an NHL goalie, but that's what happened. So I think the better matchup is Nashville. I think that what Nashville does well can feed into the Golden Knights style. When you activate defensemen, it's dangerous when you're doing it, but it also leaves you vulnerable to transition. And when you're vulnerable in transition against the Golden Knights, they jump down your throat. We've actually seen a little bit of that in the Winnipeg series. I think Winnipeg's the worst matchup because of the fact that they're very similar, in my opinion, to the Sharks. They're very quick. They have good goal scorers. They have a lot of depth. They're big in a way. They're not like a massive team, but they are going to throw their weight around a little bit. And I think they would probably give the Golden Knights a problem. That's not to say that the Predators wouldn't, but I think that's the better matchup. And that being said, I've said this the whole year. The Golden Knights are better than the Pacific Division. If when the playoffs are over, the Golden Knights are not the last Pacific Division team standing, something went horribly wrong in Golden Knights world. That may be the case if they don't win one of the next 2 games. But if they do, that's when the real test comes up. How are you against the other Western Conference team? How are you against the best Eastern Conference team? That's what I'm not really sure of. Record-wise, they've been good, but I don't know what happens over a 7-game series. I've been very confident in these first 2 series. I knew they were going to breeze through the Kings. I had a feeling they were even going to breeze through the Sharks even easier than what it's been at this point. But I think things get really, really difficult, and it would not shock me if they have a rough go in the Western Conference Finals or in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right. And now you're talking about having a breeze through the Kings. I wish Robbie was here, but Robbie has some technical issues. But I know the very first time we had you on, you're like our reoccurring guest. That's pretty cool. But anyways, I know the first time we had you on, Robbie was obviously all high on the Kings and talking so much smack about that and saying, if the Kings and the Knights ever meet up in the playoffs, he thought that they could take you guys on. But obviously, that didn't happen.
Well, yeah, that didn't really go so well for the Kings. As it turns out, and this really comes as an absolute shocker for anyone who watched hockey all season, One team was better in that series. They were better in the regular season. They were better in the head-to-head matchups. They were just flat out better. And then they play 4 games in a row, and one team wins all 4, and you're like, well, how did this happen? How come the 2012 Kings didn't show up? How come the 2014 Kings didn't? Like, listen, your team wasn't that good this year. It was a horribly inconsistent team. They were banged up in the series, and they needed an absolute unbelievable series out of their goaltender. They got it and still got their asses swept.
Yeah, I mean, granted that, those games were all pretty much, I think, were they all 1-0? Like, basically
They were all one goal games, yeah.
All
2 1-0s.
Yeah, and a couple overtimes and whatnot here and there, but
can't win a lot of games if you don't score.
Do you buy that where if it's a 1-goal game, it automatically means it's a close game? Because I don't.
No.
No, it doesn't mean it's an automatically a close game, but I mean, obviously that also has to do with the defense and the goaltender side of things too. Is it may be a 1-goal game, but if your defense is shutting down that other team, even though your team only scored 1 goal, it's your team then has total control. No matter what,
the thing is, most people think that you need to score multiple goals to run away with a hockey game. You can score 1 goal and then just shut down the other team, and you can still kick their ass.
And right. That was game 1. That was game 1 to a T.
You win by 1 goal for a reason, right? So, but
exactly.
That's all it takes.
Yep.
Exactly. So speaking of that, now Fleury's been putting on a clinic. A lot of nasty saves you see over there on his side of things. What's your take on him for the playoffs this year?
I think he's been awesome. I think he's been the best player on the Golden Knights, and I think he's been doing exactly what every Golden Knights fan or every anybody who looked at what Vegas could possibly do in the playoffs, he's doing it. Mm-hmm. He's stealing periods at times. He's covering up mistakes that the Golden Knights have made. He's even covering up mistakes that he makes. He hasn't really been beaten on one that you're like, probably could have had that
sure.
one. Where I could say that on 4 Martin Jones goals. I could have probably said that on 2 Jonathan Quick goals in the first series out of 7. Flower has not had 1. So that's what you want. I mean, when it comes to a playoff series, you're going to need some incredible saves, and he's had a couple of them. But what you really need is to make the saves that you're supposed to make.
Exactly.
And he's making all of them, and that's how you win series. And that's if you're the better team, which the Golden Knights, I believe, are in this series. If your goalie doesn't mess up, am I allowed to swear on this?
Sure, go for it.
If your goalie doesn't shit the bed, you should win.
Yep.
And that's what's happened.
Do you think that Reeves will ever play for VGK again?
I would hope not.
Just going to throw it in there.
Why would you put your worst player on the ice in the most important series?
True.
I think that was a
I don't think
it's
all that difficult. But especially people making a big deal. Well, against the Kings, they're a little heavier. Maybe we should play the heavy guy. No, play the fast guys. You're better than the Kings.
Yep.
Well, maybe against the Sharks, maybe we can throw some weight around. No, if you play the slow guy, then they're going to skate around you, and you're going to be the slow. You stupid. Maybe if we play shut up. Don't play Ryan Reeves.
That seems to be Alain Vigneault's problem when he was the coach of the New York Rangers, was he wanted these matchups to be just like the other team. And it's just like, you got to be different. You got to play like he played he played Tanner Glass out there for the one game in the playoffs game last year. And it was like, why would you have him out there in the final minutes? This big, tall, slow, doofy dude. And, and it's like, why would you have him out there to try to protect the lead? And then you get scored upon. And then, that team takes over the game and then you lose because you put out Tanner Glass and not one of your skilled players. Anymore. Exactly. Thank God. Anyways. Sorry, Rangers fan just going on about. Anyways, I won't even get into there. This is about Vegas. This is about the Vegas Golden Knights here. So what do you got to say for the Golden Knights fans right now? Obviously we already touched on it a little bit with the whole losing a game, and now obviously they've lost 2 already against the Sharks in this series, and I guess it's difficult for them, right? Because there's a lot of new hockey fans, right, out there for Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's new hockey fans, but they're not new sports fans.
Okay.
And I think everybody's fully aware of how fragile a playoff run can be. Everybody gets like, oh man, they took away game 2 from us here. That's not good. Things change in a hurry here, or you play a poor game, or I heard a lot of it last night was, is it really possible that this could be the last home game ever? And it's, yeah, it could. It really could. And I think that it's not like, yes, there's a lot of new hockey fans. There's a lot of people who've never followed a hockey season this closely. I could even make the argument there's a lot of people that have never even followed a team this closely, because it kind of captured people in the middle of the year when they made the run to become at one point they were the best team in the league. And people really started gravitating towards them and following the entire arc of the season. But I don't think that people are this new group that's like, well, we're expected to win the cup and we deserve to win the cup. And if it should just be handed to us. Like, I don't think anybody has that. Everybody who's a sports fan understands that your team doesn't win most of the time. Like in any sport, most of the time you don't win. Mm-hmm. So everybody understands the fragility of it. And then there's also the fact, and this is something that I don't think most Golden Knights fans even want to admit to themselves because it terrifies them, is that this season will never come back. They may win a cup down the road. They may be better next year or in the following year or whenever. But there is never, ever going to be another time in which they can do what they're doing in their first year.
Sure.
The story is better this season. So the fear of it not ending the way that everybody wants it to around here it can be crippling.
Because it seems like you said, the story side of it is they couldn't have written it any better for being the first year in the expansion team and the first season and the success that they've had and the fan base that they have grown and all.
Well, it's not done being written yet either, though. They still got
a month
and a half left.
Not done.
That's true too.
Hopefully, it lasts the whole month and a half.
That is.
I think it's going to go all the way until the next season starts. That's when the story is going to be finished, being written. So off season is a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Do I have to keep the beard all the way till then? Because this thing is annoying.
I don't know. Rob shaved his pretty quickly, so.
Oh, it's terrible.
And I know we touched on this too a little bit, just slightly, but you were talking about the refs and what is goalie interference and whatnot. What I've seen to see on the social media aspect of things and Vegas night and the VGK fans is a lot of them blaming the refs. Obviously, how much do you blame the refs?
Everybody blames the refs on everything.
I think that the only thing that I was trying to make the point on is I thought that the scales were a little tipped in the wrong direction. I don't think it meant that the Golden Knights were going to lose the series. I don't think that it meant that Vegas deserved to be in a better spot or whatever. I just kept saying, I think the scales are tipped a little bit in the wrong direction at this very moment. This is part of the reason why we play 7-game series, because the scales will tip back. And you can make the argument that the Tomas Hertl penalty, while I think is a clear as day penalty, because it's clearly interference, you can't do that. But San Jose people do not. Tomas Hertl does not think it was a penalty. DeBoer doesn't think it was a penalty. Some of my media friends think it was a little bit of a soft call. The scales will tip back. Things will happen. They've lost 4 goals on challenges. Two of them that have been, two that have been taken off, and 2 that were scored by San Jose that did not go the Vegas's way. So, am I blaming the refs? No, but am I saying that the refs had some sort of say in why this series didn't end in 5? Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think that's with every game, every series, everything. Though I think it's going to be. I mean, everyone thinks they're a referee nowadays, though. Too, either if they're not a ref or if they're a fan or whatever, everyone thinks they're right, and it's the hardest call to make is by the guys on the ice. You can watch it on TV a million times and think you got it right, but in the heat of the moment, and with 20 or 30,000 screaming fans around you and players chirping at you skating by, and you're trying to make a decision, it's you can't blame the refs for it entirely, but that is what they get paid to do. No, it's not just the refs.
It's situation room too. There's been 4 goal reviews, and all 4 have gone against Vegas. and they've all been close. Maybe one has been really clear. One of them didn't really matter. Vegas is up like 6-0 at the time. Neal bats it in with what I thought was the shaft of the stick. They said it hit his hand. Okay, fine, but it's close.
Right.
And it's like at some point, if there's another close one, hopefully they look at it and say, that's pretty close. We'll give it to Vegas.
Yeah, you like to think there was the we owe them one kind of scenario, or if you got home ice advantage, you think you're going to get the calls that go your way and stuff. It's probably going to balance it out. That's life. It's how things work.
That's why you play 7-game series.
Yeah,
that's right. And I mean that's pretty much all we got for you, man. That's a little quick interview. But I will say real quick, for me personally, obviously being an outsider fan, if you will, of the Vegas Golden Knights, obviously I'm a fan of the New York Rangers, as everybody knows. But when the first game against this San Jose team, the first game was 7-0. I really was like, damn, man, I think these Knights are going to run away with this. I mean, they really just weren't stopping at all, especially after the series with the Kings, and they come back and beat San Jose 7-0 in the first game. I really thought it was going to go. I really thought they were going to go through them too as well pretty quickly. But hey, that's turning around now, and Vegas has got the 4-3 lead on them, and we'll see how the next game goes. So.
I think people kind of underestimate how hard it is to play at T-Mobile Arena for the first time in that atmosphere. Like it's not to say that was the first time the Sharks had ever been there, but it's the first time they've been there in a playoff game.
Oh, sure.
And it's completely different. It can catch up to you. Like they scored a goal early in both first-time playoff games against these teams, and things tend to snowball. And I mean, it's really, really loud in there, and it's not all the fans. Like I'm not giving 100% of the credit to the fans. Fans are loud. But fans can only be so loud. 17,000 humans can only make so much noise.
Right.
The sound system in that building is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It shakes. I had a bobblehead, and it was shaking the bobblehead just from the bass. Like, it is nuts how loud that building is. And that can kind of creep up on you. And we've heard players say that kind of speeds the game up on you a little bit. And if the game is sped up against a team that's already faster than you, you wind up down 7-0.
Yeah, I've seen a few concerts there actually, and that's a totally different scenario. But I couldn't imagine playing a hockey game in that arena with that sound system. Like I saw Slipknot there, which is no secret they're not a quiet concert. Like it was absolutely insane. I couldn't imagine playing a hockey game there, especially with a sold out crowd and stuff. It's insane. So.
In the words of Alexander Ovechkin, holy Jesus, is this a hockey game or a pool party?
Yeah. But back real quick before we let you go, I was reading, I don't know if this is an old headline or not, but they already have sold out all of the full season tickets for next season, which is pretty cool in Vegas. It seems like. So I think 75 or 80% of the seats in there are meant for full season ticket holders or something. And they've sold out all of them, which is, that goes back to the fan base, and that's probably just a Vegas thing, to be honest, but it's still pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I mean, that wouldn't happen in New York because New York is just like. I won't even talk about it. I won't even talk about it.
But also, like, season tickets aren't a testament to fans either, though, because I know companies buy them up and all sorts of stuff. So. But
hey. It's a good start for the expansion team and everything like that, and especially moving on to the second season, selling a whole bunch of season tickets. That's awesome too for them as well. That means people are enjoying it, and hey, looks like they're here to stick around. And obviously, the next one they're talking about is Seattle moving for the expansion team. And what's funny was that I saw an interview and they were talking about the owner and who's going to be the GM of this Seattle team. And they're saying, so many people are going to want
Bill Gates.
Right. Like so many people are going to want the GM job, the head coach job, because they're going to look at Vegas and be like, Vegas did this in their first time and their first year expansion. We could do that too, and they're kind of comparing them. But obviously there's a whole bunch of differences going on there, whether it was, the unfortunate events that happened in the beginning of the season out there in Vegas or whatnot. And, the Knights rode that emotional train to start the season. But, there's so many differences that's going on between, the different
I don't
cities.
envy the guy who gets that job.
No, exactly. Anyways, Ken, thanks for joining us. Is there anything you want to plug for the listeners where they can find you?
They'll figure it out.
SinBin Vegas.
Google it.
Ah, there you go. You'll know who he is. Anyways, Ken, thank you for joining us again. Dude, good luck to the Golden Knights. I know Rob won't say that, but he's not here, so I'm saying it for him. So
Sorry, King. Sorry, Kings. There's a new sheriff in town.
Oh,
boys.
Jesus.
Yeah, if you want to talk shit to Rob, do it now while he's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I could do it. I'd do it this day.
Yeah, that's true.
Ken, thank you, man. We'll catch you next time.
You got it anytime, boys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you later.
All right, and that was Ken from SinBin Vegas joining us to talk everything VGK. Good interview, good guy, and cute guy. I've never seen him before. Actually, I'm not sure what he looks like. Anyways, Dunk, that's pretty much all we got, I think, for everybody today. That pretty much wraps it up. We talked about the game recaps, injuries, suspensions, Brad Marchand doing stupid shit. Like, God, anyways.
Later episode today, but we're missing one of our compadres here. So
technical difficulties and whatnot going on over there on his end. So it is what it is. So hey, let's end this bad boy, and we'll see everybody next week on another episode of Around the Boards.
See you next Tuesday.
See ya.
Hey ATB fans, don't forget to follow us on all your social media accounts, on Twitter @_ATB podcast, on Instagram search Around the Boards, on Facebook, facebook.com/AroundTheBoards, in the iTunes store and Spotify now. Don't forget to subscribe there to follow us for all our latest episodes. Also check us out on our Libsyn page at aroundtheboards.libsyn.com. We'll see you next week, hockey fans.